So so yeah, where was I? So you've had a lot of tool belts, right? To say none the least. You've been a defense attorney, you've been a prosecutor, you've been a community leader, activist, and now judge. So just looking back, you have all these multifaceted roles that you're playing in. So maybe could you share like maybe which role was more people focused? Were they all people focused in some way, or maybe just a specific one that you can maybe share?
Yeah, each one of them is a different focus for different types of people. When I was a public defender, my job was to represent that one individual and protect their constitutional rights and make sure that they had a chance to learn from this and move forward and not make the same mistake. When I was a prosecutor, my focus was the other people that was not the defendant and try to protect them and make sure that they had justice of the people that I was prosecuting. When I worked in the civil realm, I worked for a company that did bankruptcies, and my although I was representing the banks, my idea was to make sure that we can get these people out of the rut so that they wouldn't lose their home. We would do a lot of mediations with them. Um, and as a judge, my goal is to make sure that we do a number of things. One of them is that they have access to justice. So
Mm,
they have an opportunity to come to court and be heard and they are able to learn. Number two, um, that we are upholding their constitutional rights. We're applying the law where we need to, especially with different kinds of cases like domestic violence types of cases. And number three, that there's a chance for redemption. And there are a lot of things that we can do to help people in the criminal justice system. So it's not just always incarceration. There's rehabilitation, there's restitution, and then there's incarceration at the very end of it. But we try to do the other things first, especially working in. I used to be in charge of the mental health court for King County
okay.
and the regional veterans court, and our focus was redemption. It was getting people to a position that they were able to learn and being able to move forward, and that they wouldn't have to be coming through the court system. We're trying to reduce recidivism. We're trying to make sure that people are not coming back through the court system.
Yeah.
We're trying to make sure that they're getting the help that they need. Big community court advocate. I love community court. I think that really works in all the different areas that I've been in as a public defender, as a prosecutor, and now as a judge. So yes, it's people focused, and it's very exciting to see people grow and learn and get that chance of redemption and to come back in. In just a short story, I had an individual who did a deferred prosecution. He admitted that he had a huge problem with alcoholism. I got on his case a couple years ago, and he was in a mess. And so I was able to remind him of what this was about, what the importance was. And then he came in earlier this year, and his case was able to be dismissed. And he shared with me that I changed his life a couple years ago because I was able to refocus him on what he needed to do.
Wow.
And you don't get that a lot. And so I was very happy to hear that. That entire calendar was amazing. We had lots of people coming in getting their cases dismissed because they did what they needed to do.
Right.
And that chance of redemption is offered to everybody when I'm the judge, to try to make sure that people learn and they grow. And people make mistakes. We do make mistakes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And so I guess is there can you maybe take me to I know you shared a little bit about that redemption process with
mhm.
different people as a judge. And I'm sure there's joy in kind of seeing
Yeah,
people being delivered out of whether it's alcoholism or mental illnesses, and those are all real, real world
right.
concepts, right? People struggle, right, on a day-to-day basis. Maybe take me to a favorite memory or a fond case maybe that you've had and you've seen redemption, you've seen people being delivered out of that.
Yeah. So there are a lot of things that people are held up on today. Most of the focus is on alcohol and drugs. Mental illness is the next big one, but nobody's really talking about gambling. Nobody's really
Mm,
talking about the other vices that are out there that affect a person's well-being. And when you start to put different layers of trauma on top of each other, if somebody was abused as a child, physically or mentally or sexually, that lingers with them, and then that turns into maybe alcohol or drug addiction, and then eventually turns into something else. And eventually what happens is that turns into violence. And what they want to do is they're feeling so bad about themselves, they want to take it out on somebody else. And so you have individuals that I've seen come in to court on different cases, especially in domestic violence cases, where they are not able to break that chain. They're not able to break that cycle. And unfortunately, I had a guy in Auburn when I was down in Auburn, and he had been abusing the same woman for 26 years. For 26 years, he thought that she had cheated on him. And so he would get really, really drunk and he would beat her every single time. There was at least 30 cases that were available that he was involved in. I finally had to give him 4 years, and we just had a review hearing with him, and now he gets it. Now he understands that it wasn't her fault, that was in him, that the trauma that he suffered, he turned to the alcoholism, and he realized that he needs help. And just having the courage to ask for the help is something that where we can start with, and then we can start that road of redemption. You know, and in what classes can we have them go to? What counseling can we support them with? We have active probation. The active probation department in King County District Court is amazing, led by a woman by the name of Regina Alexander. She's great. And that her entire mindset is about redemption and getting people to a better place. And so that's one of the stories I can share with you in regards to that person. The other case I just had this earlier this week, a man had lost his wife suddenly, and he was suffering from grief and depression 3 years ago, and he ended up getting a DUI. He just finally resolved this case now, and he had been holding it up inside of him for so long, and I was able to share with him that it was okay to let it go, and he cried in the courtroom and cried. And I gave him a deferred sentence, which gives him a chance to get his case dismissed because it was amended to something lower. And I really, truly believe that this man will get his case dismissed, that he's going to be able to grow and learn from this. And those are the chances of redemption that we need to share with people. And most of the time, they don't get to come to court. I'm in the back of my office and I get these work queues, and people are complying with it. So we dismiss their cases without the media attention, without people coming to court, and they get that redemption just because I'm able to close their case and while I'm doing my work in the chambers. And that's probably about maybe 90% of the time. But if they are able to come to court, we celebrate them. We celebrate them, we clap for them, we cheer them on, and we thank them for the hard work they do, because it's not easy to overcome challenges in their life.
Yeah. So, thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah.
So, the key word that I've just been detecting throughout our conversation is redemption.
Yes.
And you've spoken a lot about redemption and offering second chances. So, we're in a world where everybody's so quick to judge, and everybody's quick to kind of shift the blame, if you will. Right. Maybe take us through how you balance maybe accountability and also compassion. Because as a judge, right, you have to kind of be the overseer of both, right?
Right.
So maybe share a little bit to the audience about what that kind of practically looks like.
Well, first it starts with me. I have to hold myself accountable, right? And I hold myself accountable, and there's information out there on the internet. I held myself accountable. I went through the process. I was able to go through the investigations. I was able to comply with what they wanted me to do. I've taken the classes and the treatment programs I needed to, and now those cases are closed. So it starts with me. And if I can hold myself accountable, I can hold somebody else accountable, because I understand the process that it takes. At the end of the day, if somebody's coming before me, and most of the people out there in our culture, you're right, they're quick to blame, they're quick to accuse, they're quick to say X, Y, and Z, but they don't understand the behind the scenes. They don't understand what's going on until it's either them that's in that chair or somebody they love that's in that chair. And then they want the second chance. Then they want the redemption. Then they want the mercy and the compassion. Well, I'm going to give it to everyone. I'm going to give it to everyone. To the person who continuously drives drunk, to the person who continuously beats up on their wife, to the person who just made a mistake for the first time in their life. All of them deserve access to justice. All of them deserve compassion. All of them deserve some form of mercy in one shape or form. But accountability starts with me. It starts with me training. I'm going to the judicial conferences, learning as much as I can, participating in all the different judicial committees that I'm involved in, and learning as much as I possibly can, and staying on current law. Washington State right now is really changing the law. We're really becoming more progressive. It is really a pleasure, to be honest, practicing law in today's age. When I came from 30 years ago, it is really becoming a lot better to practice law in this state now.
Interesting.
I'm really, really excited about the progress that the Washington State Supreme Court is making, and what the legislature is doing to trying to make the laws more cohesive and make them a little bit more, I want to say, clearer than before. So I really enjoy being a judge, but accountability starts with me, and then that way I'm able to hold someone accountable, and they can't turn to me and say, well, you don't know what I'm going through. I know exactly what you're going through. I know exactly what you're going through because I just went through it. Especially this last man with the grieving and depression. I understand exactly what he was going through because I had to go through that 3.5 years ago. And it wasn't until I got into the JAS program it's the Judicial Assistance Program that was offered to the judges.
Thanks for the clarification, by the way.
Yeah.
I was like, jazz. Like...
Yeah, JAS. And so I was able to get involved with that, and Dr. Katner was able to help me go through my issues, and I feel so much better now. It's been great. It's been great.
Do you think people? I'm just hearing your story, right? I mean, a lot of people struggle, especially in the outskirts of Seattle, right? You see a lot of homelessness, you see a lot of addiction, you see a lot of mental health illnesses.
Yeah.
A lot of those stuff is very prevalent in the city. Do you think the biggest reason why is people, they don't know that they need help, or like they don't know who to go to or reach out a hand to? Because we see kind of this epidemic, right, if you will, right, of people in the streets, and you've shared your fair share on, a few years back, right?
Right.
That struggle for, every human goes through a struggle in their season and in their chapter.
Right.
So maybe could you maybe touch a little bit on, like, is it people that don't know how to reach out, or they don't know they need help, or like, what was kind of your process to get out of that state you were in?
My process getting out of it was getting the help and trying to understand what was going on with me and why I was going through it. And when I lost my mom, that broke me. And I didn't know how to deal with it. I was the oldest of 8 kids, and so I had to be the strongest for all the other kids. And I didn't process it properly, and I just kept pushing it away, and eventually it manifested itself in something that turned out to be really bad for me and for other people involved. And so learning from that mistake and growing from it, I was able to get the help that I needed. When I was in mental health court, we had lots of people who were struggling with mental health issues. And unfortunately, people stigmatize them and they say, oh, that person's mentally ill and they're crazy and they can't do X, Y, and Z. And now we're starting to see that it's the families that need the support as much as the person who is suffering from mental illness. And so what we'd like to do is try to see if we can get programs set up to help the families. Say, hey, they're going to go through this process. They have to they have to regulate their medication. They have to get counseling. What can we do to help and make it easier for you? What are the things that we can teach you so when you see that they're being triggered, that they are able to kind of reduce it so they're not getting triggered, and that it doesn't go into a violent offense, and the police don't need to be called, and the criminal justice system doesn't need to be applied in this particular situation. Some of the people who receive that medication, like I said, regulated medication, some of the medication, fairness to doctors and psychiatrists, but they are practicing medicine. They don't know the clear answer. So what happens is it comes upon the person who's taking the medication and their family to regulate it, to share with the doctor and the psychiatrist how that medication is affecting them. Sometimes the medication is too strong and people are just laying around drooling. Sometimes the medication is not strong enough and they are still having these manic episodes. So what happens is you need to keep a log, and then the families need to be taught that so that when they talk to the doctor, they can say, well, medication A is not working as well as we think. We're going to wean them off and put on medication B, and we're going to try to see how well this goes. And when you find that good balance, then that person is able to be a functioning member of society. Now, here's the bad part. That medication only lasts so long, because then the body ends up adapting, and then obviously you have to find another medication to kind of keep them there. But we are seeing significant strides in the mental health field that's really helping. And then we also do the regional veterans court. And so King County is set up to help veterans who are coming back from serving our country, or who have been on a tour of duty and have PTSD, have no place to go, suffering from mental illness, suffering from grief, suffering from loss. And so the Regional Veterans Court is a group of veterans who have been through the system, or who are veterans who have served our country, to help support other veterans so they can get through this season of their life. And it's amazing to watch.
Mm,
It's amazing to watch these
I bet.
people really rise to the occasion
Yeah.
and to be there as a brotherhood and a sisterhood to support their fellow veterans from all the different branches, the Marines, the Army, the Navy, the Coast Guard, the Air Force. I've seen them come in and just support on Zoom and in person. It's been amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing all that. I want to kind of get the spotlight on you again and kind of preface this question. So, as the first Samoan judge in Washington State, by the way, huge congratulations. I mean,
Thank you.
I mean, representation across the Asian American, the Pacific Islander, across all that. That's just amazing representation, and I believe we need more of that in the forefront, right?
I
Whether
agree.
it's in the world of governance or entertainment or whatever, like whatever platform. Now, as the first Samoan judge in Washington State, what type of responsibilities did you feel? I'm sure there was a lot of, it's first for everything. It's like there's certain weights on your shoulders and expectations and standards even.
Right.
Maybe would you maybe take us through and maybe share with the audience what type of responsibilities, expectations, and stuff you had to kind of go through.
So when I first got appointed, and it went viral all over into Polynesia and down to New Zealand and Australia. And so I was able to do a lot of interviews. And I was just very honored to be the first Samoan judge in this state, very honored to represent my culture and my community. And immediately people on Facebook started reaching out to my wife and my sisters and my family members for legal advice. But unfortunately, as a judge, your privilege to practice law is suspended. And so, and then there are judicial canons that prevent us from giving legal advice. And so I wasn't able to give them legal advice. I would definitely listen to what they had to say and direct them to attorneys who would be able to help them. But you're right, it did carry a significant weight, but only as much as I learned that what I needed to do is be an example, be the trailblazer, and at the same time, help pave the road for other people to come and take my spot. I would really love to see. Justice Mary Yu just retired from the Washington State Supreme Court. She, I think, was the first Asian justice on our Supreme Court. I would love to see another young Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific American, Polynesian rise to that occasion and take her spot, or take a position in the future. I think that'd be amazing to see. I would love to see other young attorneys coming and becoming judges and commissioners in the judiciary in Snohomish, King, Pierce, Thurston County, all in the state of Washington. I would love to see that happen. Being the first just means that I was the one that was blessed to do it first. But that shows me that if I can do it, you can do it. I was just a punk kid from White Center. I went to Evergreen High School, and God blessed me to learn how to practice law, and then I was able to do the APR Rule 6 program, and then I was given the license to practice law, and then I've been able to practice on both sides of the fence, both criminal defense and prosecution, and practice civil law. It's been a blessing. It's been a blessing to have God take me through this road and to be the first, but not be the last.
How important has faith been for you? I know you mentioned here and there about redemption and a lot of a lot of stuff you're talking about associating with God. How important is that to you in your career?
It's the whole reason why I'm here.
Sure, why?
It's the whole reason why. I mean, it is my foundation. My faith in God, my foundation with God, is the reason why He has led me from the streets of White Center to here. He has shown me different ways, and there are times, and there's been lots of those times where I've tried to do it on my own. Oh, I can do this, and then I've ended up crashing and burning. But as soon as I went back and repented, and as soon as I went back and was able to get back into my alignment with Him, He just continues to remind me that He is with me. He was with me. So here I am in the middle of this campaign where I have an opponent, and God has reminded me that He is with me. And I'm leaning on Him. I'm leaning on my faith. My wife is amazing. She also is a child of God, and we are every day praying and worshiping with Him. And we do that with our children at night. So we have special times at night where we sit down as a family and we exercise our faith and we pray. I'm an elder in my church with my wife. Um, I serve as an usher in my church. It doesn't matter what position or what title I have. I want to serve the people who come to my congregation. Um, and I just thank God for every single opportunity He provides to me, that I can serve Him and serve the people here.
I love that. Well said. Well
Thank
said.
you.
Um, I want to kind of shift gears a little bit. You
Mhm.
mentioned you're running for reelection
Yeah,
as judge for King County
correct.
District Court. Maybe share a little bit about the process of that, what that looks like. You mentioned you're running against someone, right?
Right.
Maybe share a little bit to the audience and the viewers about that process of election and what what you kind of want from people,
Right.
for you.
You know, the process it's a long, tedious process, and there's only two of us running, so there's no primary.
Got
And
it.
and and
Is it
I think
general elections
it's
or?
just a general
Okay.
election. It's in November, on November 3rd. And I thank God there's no primary because there's just two of us. And so our district that we're running for is in the White Center, Burien, Tukwila, SeaTac, Normandy Park, Des Moines, and Federal Way area. So that's the area that everybody votes for us for this position. Those are the areas I grew up in. I grew up in White Center. I lived in SeaTac. I lived in Burien. I now live in Federal Way. I was public defender in SeaTac for a while. I worked in Burien as a public defender. That's where I call home. I went to Evergreen High School in White Center, and we played against Highline and Kennedy
Wow.
at Highline Stadium, in my youth. I still go back to White Center and I still visit it. And it's really changed a lot. And, just reaching out to the people and making sure that when you appear before me, I want you to understand that I'm going to give you your day in court. You're going to be sitting there for an hour, maybe 2 hours, waiting for your case to be called. I've been doing this job for 5 years as a sitting judge in King County. I've been doing it as 7 years as a pro tem. So for 12 years, God has put me on the bench. And you may get 2, 3 minutes at the most. But I want you to understand I'm hearing you. I understand where you're coming from. I understand your struggles. I understand how hard it is for you financially, physically, mentally sometimes. Single moms that come in and can't have to bring their kids in because they can't find anybody to watch them, and they have to take a bus and it takes them 2 hours. They tell your attorney, file a motion, right? So you can appear on Zoom, so you don't have to do all that, right?
Mm.
But when the kids come in, I want them to understand that, hey, you know what? Even though your mom might be in trouble, I'm going to give her her day in court. I'm going to listen to what she has to say. One of the things I do when I see kids in court is I bring them up to my bench and I have them hit the gavel. I try to encourage them to become a judge, to go to law school. It doesn't matter what age it is. I also want the people to understand that I try to be as fair as I possibly can, balancing the rights of the individual who's being charged or accused of a crime versus the rights of everybody else. That person has a right to go to trial. They have a right to remain silent before and during the trial. And if they remain silent, we can't use that silence against them, saying, well, they must be guilty because they're staying silent. The Constitution stands against that. I stand for the Constitution. I stand for the rights of people. I stand for, and it doesn't matter what culture, what race, what the financial situation is. If you're, I did the Richard Sherman case. I was blessed to do Richard Sherman's first DUI case in Seattle,
Wow.
and that brought me a lot of notoriety and a lot of people reaching out to me and my wife, from all over the world, and some of it was negative. But I treated Richard Sherman exactly as I would treat somebody who was homeless on the street. I treat them fairly, under the law, and making sure that they understand what's going on, making sure that they're getting their day in court. I may rule against them, but I just want them to understand that I heard you. And they may leave the courtroom saying, well, I don't like his ruling, but at least he heard what I had to say. At least he was fair. And that's what I want the people to understand. God has led me to do this job since 1994. I was started as a court clerk in Tukwila. I did the APR Rule 6 program and graduated in 99. I became a defense attorney. I started in 1999. I graduated in 2003, became a defense attorney in 2004, became a prosecutor in 2006, came back and worked in the civil realm from 2012 to 2014, went back into public defense, started pro-temming in 2014 in the city of Seattle. I was a pro tem judge in the cities of SeaTac, Des Moines, Puyallup. Um, um, I'm missing one. There's another one. It's Issaquah.
That's cool.
I went up to Issaquah and learned a lot being a pro tem judge, and had a good time representing the people. Did a lot of red light ticket cameras.
Oh.
But redemption, right? I mean, people
Yeah.
didn't understand the law. It was new, and trying to explain to them, hey, this is what the law says. This is what you do. And then converted their fines to community service so that they didn't have to pay a lot of money, and instead had to do community service and serving our community in that way. So it's been a great opportunity for me to serve the people in King County, to be on the bench and to hear what they had to say, and to work for them and what's going on in the world today, and trying to make those adjustments. And like I said, it's an honor to practice law in this state. It is. It really is. It's a good time to practice law, because now it's starting to understand what the people's needs are, and it's adjusting to that.
More of a lighthearted question. I know you mentioned Richard Sherman.
Mhm.
Like, do people ever typically when people associate, when you work with like a Seahawks player or something, people kind of like, oh, like, do you get free tickets, or like, oh, Richard Sherman, like, how was it kind of with that? Just very briefly.
So he was arrested, and he was playing for the 49ers at the time.
Okay.
And so he was arrested, and he was brought to King County Correctional Facility. And his attorney wisely made a motion beforehand so he didn't have to appear on video wearing that orange jumpsuit that he was in custody. And in the fairness towards him, and anyone can do this, they can file a motion saying, hey, I want my attorney to appear on behalf of me at the preliminary hearing.
Right.
His attorneys asked to do that. I granted that motion, so he didn't have to appear on TV. His attorneys appeared for him. His wife did appear in my courtroom. I did give her an opportunity to say something if she wanted to in regards to bail. She had her own attorney, and he declined to say anything at the time. The attorney then made an argument. The state made their argument. And, Richard Sherman had no criminal history. He owned several businesses. He was sponsoring different youth organizations in the state. He played for the Seattle Seahawks. He won their first Super Bowl with them. To me, he was a pillar in the community. He was somebody who was giving back to the community. And he made a mistake, and he owned up to it. And later on, he pled guilty to those charges. And he did a really good job of trying to comply with everything that Judge Palisade had ordered him to do. And it doesn't matter what your celebrity status is, or how famous you might be, or how much money you have, and it doesn't matter, what culture or race you come from. Everybody should be treated exactly the same under the law.
I love that. Yeah, just equality for all people, regardless of race, regardless of your beliefs, regardless of all that, all across the board. As we kind of wrap up here, I do want to give you the time towards the end to maybe share about you're running against.
Yeah.
And you're running for the position for King County District Court. So towards the end, I want to give you a little bit of opportunity to share with the audience.
Sure.
Just maybe if you have like a website or anything like that. But I want to ask you one last question, and it's it's a personal question, but I think it's a question for the audience as well. So my last question would be, especially for the Asian American Pacific Islander, right? And for maybe the young generation that's listening to this, give a very brief master class, or a very brief subject on leadership and just overcoming adversity. Because there's a lot of young people these days where they might feel restrained, or they might feel like they can't do it, or they're not significant. And you've worked with a handful of people, not just the Asian American Pacific Islander community. You've worked with all people across the board. Maybe give a small encouragement, or a small kind of exhortation, if you will, to kind of the younger generation that's watching this.
Sure. Life is going to kick you. It's going to knock you down. It's going to want you to think that you should give up. Don't. Get up. Overcome that adversity. If you don't know how, ask. Ask somebody. Call me. My phone number is on the website for the King County District Court, or email me. I will sit down and talk to you. I'll invite you to court. I'll invite you to come watch court. We'll sit there and talk, and I have a rule. When people come to my courtroom to support other people, we have to take them out to lunch afterwards. If you come and you ask questions, we're going out to lunch, okay? What I want you to understand is that there's always going to be people that say no. You have to find a way around that. You have to find that inside of you to say, I'm not going to take no for an answer. I didn't do everything traditionally like everybody else. I came from White Center, where nothing good comes from White Center, is what they said. I had to do the APR Rule 6 program instead of going to law school. I was able to come onto the bench as the first Samoan judge and as the first graduate from the APR Rule 6 program. That's not a traditional way of doing things, and I'm proud of that. So your path can be similar to my path, and then I can give you ideas and show you what you need to do, because knowledge is power. And if you have this self-doubt inside of you, let it go, because that's not coming from God. That's coming from something else that doesn't believe in you. God wants your best. He's put you in a position for you to succeed. He loves you, and He's there with you. And He's been with me, and He's still with me. And so if you have any questions, you can reach me at fmasaniai@kingcounty.gov. Or if you want to, you can reach out to my website at reelectjudgemasaniai.com. Okay, and that's all one word. It's all lowercase. I'm available. If you want to talk, let's talk. And if other people want to talk to me about what's going on, I'd love to talk to you as well. Contact us. My campaign manager is Rohana Joshi. She's young, she's vibrant, she loves social media, she's amazing. You can reach out to her. And we're very excited. We're very excited to represent the people, and we'll ask you to continue to vote for us, and then God will give us the next 4 years so I can continue to be your judge here in the Southwest District area.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Judge Masaniai, for really taking the time to come out, and for the viewers to have an opportunity to hear about your story of perseverance, resilience, and a story of legacy, especially for the next generation. So thank you so much, and best of luck to the general elections coming up November 3rd, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, best of luck to that. And yeah, you guys can find him on his careers website. Please reach out to him. And this is GSKA San Kim signing off. Thank you guys, and stay blessed.
Thank you.